Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. Okay, it's time for a November book review. And in November, the book club choice was the Dubrovnik Book Club by Eva Glynn. She was a new to me author, and the setting of Croatia was unique, and it was a book club, so it made sense. Okay, so if you watched my weekly wrap up for the first week of November, I will link it down below, or I will link it down below. You already know that I gave this book a 1. The premise of the book is that I've already forgotten the heroine's name. Caroline, I believe, moves from England to Croatia to live with her grandmother and her husband for a year. She's accepted a position managing a bookstore in Dubrovnik, and she hosts a book club monthly at the store. Okay, that's all great. And then the book opens. So the book opens with the prologue, and it's before Caroline arrives in Croatia, and something mysterious happens at the water. There's blood involved. There's, you quickly learn that a woman is missing, and the man involved is obviously the prime suspect. Then the book opens. And almost immediately, the first red flag appears. So I'm just going to list all of the red flags in this book, because I'm not going to. Here we go. Long COVID. Veteran PTSD. Domestic violence. There is an alphabet soup character. There is dementia. There is the embittered female, refugee, Ukraine, the Serbo-Croatian War. I'm forgetting stuff. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff, but that list in and of itself is long enough. Any of those, so many red flags. There are too many story threads in this book. There's the I had long COVID, and now I'm so fearful of society I can barely function thread. And then there's the I'm 21, 22, I have moved. Oh, I forgot the anti-Catholic theme that runs through the book. I am 21 or 22, and I have moved from my small rural island 20 miles south of Dubrovnik to the big city because I am gay and I need the gay lifestyle. And my parents are intolerant religious bigots. Then we have the PTSD drunk veteran verbally accosting the embittered female professor who doesn't know how to relate to anyone. And then we have the domestic violence victim And oh, I forgot, we have the IT geek who basically just, lives in his apartment and rarely leaves it. We have the grandfather with the dementia diagnosis that takes months to come to conclusion. And it was just way too many story threads. And it's great that all the members of the book club and the people they encounter outside of the bookstore had backstories, but they didn't need to be this fleshed out and this predictable and just intrusive. There was a great potential in this book. The refugee storyline had the absolute best potential to turn this book club and this entire story into something much more readable. And instead, it gets very short shrifted and it wraps up in a couple of pages at the very end. And that's that. By far the most interesting storyline. And that's how it gets handled. I should have DNF'd this book. I really, really should have DNF'd this book. But the history kept me coming back. And the writing was beautiful. And the, geographical descriptions were beautiful. And the food. And there was a lot of history I didn't know. And a lot of history I learned. And I linked all that in Discord. But the story, barely related to the books they were reading for a book club. And they wrapped up the discussion for the book club choice book in the next section of the book, which was supposedly about a different book. And yet they never talked about the actual books. All in all, this was a very poorly constructed, but well-written, politically nonsense, missed opportunity story. I freely admit I skipped a lot of the alphabet soup nonsense. Needless to say, she goes from searching for her identity to jumping in with both feet, and her parents just, she goes home to tell them, and it goes about as well as you would expect from this type of author. And it added nothing to my overall reading enjoyment for the year. And I just as easily could have skipped this book and not been affected. So, I won't be picking up another one from her. No matter how compelling and pretty her covers are, she's more concerned about putting reality into fiction, and no, thank you. Am I sad it got picked? Am I sad I put it on poll choices? No, because you never know about a book and an author until you try them. And this is just a great example of a book and an author that didn't work for me. And I, gained nothing by reading it. I did learn a lot of fascinating history I didn't know personally. And for that, I'm perfectly, I'm satisfied. I learned something along the way, which is all I ever really want from a book. And so for that, I'm okay. My Storygraph and Goodreads rating, because I did read it on my Kindle, was 1. And the only reason I got a 1 on Storygraph when I could rate lower was because I did finish it. Had I DNF'd it, or DNF'd it, 200 plus pages in, I would have given it a 1/4 of a star. The writing is great, and the history was fascinating, and she's clearly a writer she has several books that are about set in Croatia, which is great. Unfortunately, it's more about political reality bleeding into fiction than it is, engaging storytelling and characters that you fall in love with. So I will not be picking her up again. And it is appropriate that this review is coming out on Black Friday, because this was a definite black mark for the month of November. Okay. Did you read it? Leave a comment down below. Housekeeping note, there is no book choice for December. The book choice for January poll will come out in the middle of December, and I will post the results before Christmas, so we all know what we're doing. And book club will pick up again on the 1st of January 2025. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.